Hello everyone, Shane1288 from RSBANDB Update here, and as expected, Invention is here. Invention was released today, January 25th, 2016. We're going to go over a bit of an overview of the skill. It's an elite skill, the first elite skill in-game, which means that you'll require level 80 divination, crafting, and smithing in order to begin training it. So that already puts us in a category where you have to have had some time investment in the game previously. Invention starts off by heading to the Invention Guild, which is north of Falador. You can play the tutorial and enter into the Invention Guild. In fact, it is highly recommended that you do that because that will give you your first few augmenters, gizmos, and just give you a nice general overview of the skill. But anyways, here's a bit of that overview if you are looking for a bit of a preview on Invention without actually going there. So first up, you discover new inventions in the Invention Guild by using inspiration found throughout the world by disassembly or while leveling invention. So there's a reason to be said that, okay, we might want to train invention with other skills in-game. You'll need materials to manufacture inventions, which are also gained throughout disassembly, and this is the item sync component of the skill that we've heard about so often before in the lead up to its release. You'll want to make sure that you analyze the items before disassembling them to see what you'll be getting, because there is a chance with some items that you disassemble that you can just receive junk, which means that, well, you're not going to get all that much use out of them, and you might be better saving that item for later on or selling it for something more useful. So after you analyze the item, you'll want to experiment on the inventor's workbench by building prototypes. You'll definitely fail at building the prototypes first, but through process of elimination you will succeed. And that is the first core aspect of invention, experimenting by building prototypes. Once you find the correct modules for your discovery, you'll want to optimize the inspiration cost by dragging and dropping. So this basically means that to actually discover the invention, you'd need to find a way to optimize it so that you're not going to use too much of your inspiration. Think of inspiration as the currency for invention that you get while leveling up or finding it elsewhere in the world. You optimize it by dragging and dropping the various modules, and then you'll want to shoot for excellent, but you can also shoot for okay if you're in a hurry. After discovering the blueprint, you'll want to manufacture the device on the workbench. Manufacturing can require various things from divine energy all the way to components that you got through disassembly. And the tutorial takes you through this pretty well, so be sure to pay attention to the tutorial. Augmenters are the first item that you'll encounter in Invention. They basically allow any item that you have, weapons, armor, and whatnot, to level up. They start with weapons, and then after that you can add gizmos to it, but we'll cover that in just a moment. Augmenters must be discovered using the previously outlined technique and then manufactured. So this is what the general trend for Invention looks like. Augmenters are added to weapons by clicking on the augmenter and then clicking onto the weapon. An important note here is that this does make the weapon untradeable. So keep that in mind when you're augmenting those Drygore maces later on in your Invention progress. Augmented weapons also have a status page that you can access by right-clicking check. This informs you of the level, the current XP, and the drain rates of that weapon. To use an augmented weapon, divine energy is needed, and that's stored in your charge pack, one of the first things that you create in the Invention skills. Augmented weapons also have gizmo slots, and two-handed weapons will have 2 gizmo slots. Basically, gizmos allow you to add perks to the weapons, and that's what makes Invention fun, at least in my opinion. Gizmos are created by adding materials to a gizmo shell, and for each gizmo shell that you create, there's a certain chance that you'll get a certain perk. So it is random to a degree, so pay attention when you're adding perks and just don't go around adding perks willy-nilly. These gizmos are then added to augmented weapons, which allow them to have a certain specialization. You'll note that the one we create in the tutorial is Dragon Slayer, which is 2% more damage to dragons. And then, of course, you add the gizmo to the weapon, and then that gives you a good amount of XP as well. So that leads us to the next question. What are the best training methods for Invention? Well, seeing as this is day 1 of the skill, I don't want to jump too far ahead and say, oh, doing X, Y, Z is the perfect way of training Invention. We're going to hold on and wait for that for just a little while, because it's obviously going to evolve as the week and months go on. So let's just say that with new skills, it's premature to speculate at what the best experience per hour rates will be, especially at the low levels. Experience per hour will probably become really important at mid-range levels in the skill, so 40 plus given the XP curve. Adding perks to gizmos is the best experience per hour, but it's also really expensive. Leveling gear and then destroying it also fits in this category, so if you have gear that you could sacrifice, well, there you go, you're going to train Invention quickly. From an economical standpoint, leveling gear and then resetting its level to 1 using the XP siphon tool is a good experience and relatively inexpensive because you get to keep the gear. And finally, if you're looking to make a profit with a skill, or just focusing on not breaking your bank, focus on creating devices and then selling them on the exchange, or maybe even selling items that create the materials. So, all the rune items and dragon items that you've been accumulating for the past month in Slayer. If you're short on money and you're maybe looking to make a quick buck, sell them now and train Invention next month. And also this week in the patch notes, there's a couple of interesting things that I'll just highlight before leaving you guys. Dragging an item to the money pouch will now attempt to cast high or low level alchemy based on whether you have an explorer's ring, legendary pet, or runes in your inventory. Also, the Metamorphosis ability now increases magic damage by 62.5% in PVM and 31.25% in PvP. Previously, this was only 50% in PVM. And finally, protein traps have been fixed to give an extra 25% of XP when using them instead of an extra 5%. So if you have questions about Invention, specifically its little quirks along the way or the XP curve, you can send those to us. We'll be discussing the skill at length with Mr. Bistro. Colton and I will be doing that on RSBANDB Update this weekend. Send your questions to questions@rsbnb.com or update.rsbnb.com/ask if you want to ask us something. And finally, if this video has been useful to you at all in terms of getting started with Invention, be sure to like and subscribe. See you this weekend, everyone.